I just found something really interesting that I needed to share regarding the Biden administration and some tactics that they're using to help enable them to pass a stimulus bill no matter what. As you probably know, budget reconciliation is a huge point of conversation right now because typically in the Senate, a bill needs a 60 vote or 67 vote majority to pass anything. And right now, there aren't 60 or 67 senators who would be willing to pass any stimulus bill. But budget reconciliation would allow this to happen with a 51 vote majority. And this is much more likely, of course, because there are 50 senators that lean to the Democratic side. But this isn't just a home run because there are a few moderate Democratic senators like Joe Manchin who aren't exactly for every single bit of spending and are just a little bit more conservative in their ideals. He has been outspoken kind of against stimulus checks in the recent past. He says that stimulus checks should happen, but he says that they should be more narrowly targeted. And anyways, right now, if we were to go with a budget reconciliation bill, the moderate Democratic senators have a ton of power because their vote will be the difference between getting something passed and not. So what the Biden administration is doing is something kind of sneaky. They're going to the states with the moderate Democratic senators and are appealing to the citizens of those states by doing interviews on stimulus bills, thereby putting pressure on the senators in those states to pass a bill. It's kind of sneaky and not the most unified approach to get a deal passed. But anyways, let's look at one of these interviews that Kamala did over in West Virginia that talks about the stimulus bill and will help gain support on that side. And then we can comment on it afterwards. So we're just going to show the what I thought was the most interesting part of this interview.
Work that many Americans would argue still needs done is some sort of financial relief for people struggling to make ends meet as month 10 of the COVID-19 pandemic drags on.
The president and I are really clear. We can't continue this way, and we've got to work with a sense of urgency. And so we're offering the American Rescue Plan that's about opening schools back up in a safe way. It's about getting support for small businesses, getting relief for families. So many people have been unemployed for almost a year at this point, hardworking folks who have lost their jobs through no fault of their own. And the president and I feel very strongly that these are the moments when we are facing a crisis of unbelievable proportion, that the American people deserve their leaders to step up and stand up for them.
The plan includes things like $1,400 checks for each person in a household, expanded unemployment benefits, and it would mount a national vaccination program. West Virginia has been leading the nation when it comes to actually getting shots in arms. Earlier this week, President Biden said that distribution would be based on a state's population. West Virginia is a small state with one of the oldest and most vulnerable populations.
That's the bulk of it, and I wanted to show one other thing that kind of highlights how strange this is. Here it is.
Also say, welcome back.
Hey, thank you very much. Good to be back. And interesting that the White House actually reached out to us for that interview, which was very interesting.
And a rare opportunity, too.
Yeah, that's for sure. All right. You know, we've always asked administrations to sit down for an interview. In fact, it was just 2 weeks ago we requested an interview with the former Vice President Mike Pence while he was in West Virginia, but that request was not requested. We also requested one with President Trump several times during the administration while he was in office, and our requests were never met. But again, this was a...
So as you can see, it's not normal for a vice president to go around and kind of try to build up steam for this or put pressure against senators. And Joe Manchin has already said, like, hey, this isn't the greatest way to go about this. But you can kind of look at this two ways. You can look at it first, if you want a stimulus bill passed, you can look at it like they're doing whatever it takes to get this thing passed, whether that means, you know, a few senators like them or not, they're putting pressure behind this. Or you can look at it like they're using some tricks and they're not taking the most unified approach, like they came into the administration with the idea of these unifiers, these bipartisan deal makers, just to bring the country together. So it's interesting either way you look at it. But I do think seeing things like this helps us to paint a better picture of the likelihood of another stimulus bill happening. I mean, if they're willing to do these kinds of things, I think the odds of that bill just get a little bit more and more likely. So I just wanted to share this because I thought it was extremely interesting. I'd like to thank you for watching, and I hope you have a profitable day.